Well, normally on Monday I'd do a bill, but today it's special, very special to me. Now, while everyone is talking about Memorial Day, I wanted to tell you what it is that we pursue in order to have this Memorial Day here. It's the never-ending pursuit of freedom.
Freedom is a fragile thing, and it's never more than one generation away from extinction. It is not ours by way of inheritance. It must be fought for and defended constantly by each generation, for it comes only once to a people.
Yeah, let's break it down, starting with the American Revolution. 23,800 total American deaths. Now, obviously, the population was much smaller at that time, but the War of 1812, 15,000 American deaths. Then we went on to the Mexican War, where there's another 15,000 deaths. The Civil War, with 364,511 American deaths on the Union side. World War I, 116,708 American deaths. After that, World War II, 418,500 American deaths in the pursuit of freedom. The Korean War, total deaths, 54,246. The Vietnam War, 58,220 American deaths. Desert Shield totaled another couple thousand American deaths. Operation Enduring Freedom and Iraq and Afghanistan and all these things, another few thousand dead, Americans dead. I know. I was there. That total comes to over 1 million American deaths since the founding of this country. Died in the pursuit of freedom. Some not even for our own country's freedom, but for the global pursuit of good. I can't think of anybody else I'd rather talk to about this. Retired U.S. Air Force Brigadier General and U.S. Deputy Military Rep to NATO and Newsmax contributor, my man General Blaine Holt, and also Secretary Robert Wilkie, former Undersecretary of Defense and former U.S. Secretary of Veterans Affairs. Welcome to both of you. Perfect individuals for this. General, go to you first on this. When you hear that we are the last bastion of the ability to fight for freedom and win in global society, and you see it, some people don't even know the meaning of it anymore. What does that do to you?
It just grabs me right in my heart, especially when I think of the American lives that were squandered to no effect, no end, no victory, no end means. When we screw up our planning, our strategy, our political outlook, and we squander these lives, it's so disheartening. And at the same time, I'm so inspired, I'm so uplifted that there are men and women who will raise their hands and sign up for the unlimited liability clause, and that they will lay down their lives for all of us, gladly so, in the pursuit of our nation's being secure and free this night.
Mm-hmm. Well, Mr. Secretary, this doesn't, we're just talking about the people who have been lost, not to mention the people that have lost limbs, eyes, are living with massive stress and trauma. What is it like when you look back at your time as Secretary thinking, man, there's a whole lot more that made it off the battlefield, but not entirely?
Well, it goes back to my childhood because I saw the after effects of Vietnam. My father was grievously wounded in Cambodia. He recovered and became a senior leader in the 82nd Airborne Division. But I watched an entire nation turn its back on those hundreds of thousands of Americans who went to Southeast Asia. In fact, it was so bad, Carl, that even as a leader in the All-American Division, he wasn't allowed to wear his uniform off post.
Wow. Because
government was afraid of the reaction of the population. That's the downside. The upside is that I've seen in my life people like you raise your hand and volunteer to defend a radical idea, the radical idea of the American Revolution, that we have a universal right, not only to freedom, but an uncharted right to be left alone by people who want to tell us what to do. Mm-hmm. And that has been with us since the Revolution. And I'll finish with a paraphrase of the late General Powell, that a platoon of American warriors has done more for world peace, a platoon, than all the UN agencies, all the non-governmental organizations, and all the virtue signaling Hollywood celebrities will do combined. And I think that says a lot about the American spirit.
Amen to that, Secretary. Can't beat that. But General, we have, obviously we had like the 2008 crisis which was somewhat recent. We had 9/11, but you have an entire generation, some of which are entering Congress right now as junior and freshman congressmen that have no personal recollection of 9/11, have never endured any type of crisis, didn't serve in the military. How do you explain to them that, like, hey guys, this is not just a long weekend, and also we have it so good here that we should be a little bit more thankful instead of whining about milk in our latte?
Boy, you just nailed it right there. We have an entire generation that needs to endear itself to veterans and need to reach out and understand what it is to go to war, what it is to be in war, and that these decisions can't be taken lightly. Sure, we've got an all-volunteer force, and sure, you can go be a congressman without, or a woman never having served, but you then should be even more so connected to our country's history, what it's about, where we came from, what we mean, what the Constitution means, and what that oath means that even those Congress people will take. If they want to govern, then they should never be separated from who we are.
Yeah, Mr. Secretary, I got less than a minute left, but what do you tell to a population that traffics in grievances when you've stood there on the rolling hills of Arlington, looking at those white markers that go on seemingly forever? What do you tell someone like that that just doesn't seem to understand?
Well, it goes back to what the general said. We need to keep our young people enthused about our history. I mean, Harry Truman said, if you don't keep people excited about this American story, then you can flush everything, because nothing will be worth it. The other thing, Carl, and you and I have talked about this, is stop treating American warriors as victims. These are young people who have volunteered to take on the greatest task in the world. And if we take that fact for granted, that they are there because they are fulfilling the great mission, and we keep telling that story, then we'll be all right in the end. Yeah. But we have a long way to go, particularly with the leadership we have in Washington now.
Yeah, I always say, if you want to thank a veteran, be someone worth dying for. General Blaine Holt, Robert Wilkie, we appreciate you being here.
God bless.
Thank you.